You go out to the coop first thing in the morning with your bucket and your bit of feed, and you can tell straight away one of them is just not right. The others are up and scratching, having a right good chatter with each other, but there she is, stood in the corner on her own. Feathers all puffed up, head pulled in, eyes half closed. She's looking peely-wally, as we say up here, pale about the comb, not interested in the feed, not interested in you. And in the pit of your stomach you already know it. Do you not? Because she is away with something.
Well, sit yourself down on that bucket for a wee minute and listen to me, hen, because I'm going to tell you exactly what to do with that bird this morning, in the order it needs doing, the way we have done it on my croft for the last 5 generations. And I am also going to tell you what not to do first, because most owners get the very first thing wrong, and that first thing is the difference between a hen that lives and a hen that does not. Stay with me right to the end as well, because the last thing I'm going to tell you is the honest one, the thing every chicken keeper needs to hear, and not a soul on the internet has the guts to say it plain. My name is Angus. My family has kept a croft up here in the Highlands for over 200 years. My grandfather taught my father, and my father taught me, and I have been out on these hills with animals for the better part of 50 years now. The truth I want you to know at the very start of this is that my family never had a vet. Not once. Because the nearest one to us was 3 hours away, and no telephone for most of my grandfather's life, and it never even occurred to any of us to phone one for a chicken, because we did not need to. The old ways knew what to do, and they were passed down carefully, generation to generation, and I am going to pass them down to you today, the same way. Not because I am against vets, mind, I am not, and they have their place, but because most of what happens to a hen can be fixed in your own kitchen, with the things you already have in your cupboard, and the price of that is honest labour and about 20 minutes of your morning. Now, before we get to the methods themselves, I want to teach you something that most keepers never learn until they have already lost a bird, and that is how to read a hen. Because if you can read her properly, you can help her 3 days before it ever becomes an emergency, and the earlier you catch it, the higher her chances are. A healthy hen has bright eyes, and I do not just mean open, I mean bright. She looks at you when you come into the yard. Her comb sits proud on her head, and it is a good deep red, rather than pale or floppy. Her feathers lie smooth against her, rather than puffed, and she is busy. She is scratching, and she is chattering, and she is bossing the others about, like she owns the place. That is a well hen. Now here is what you are watching for, when it starts to go wrong, because the first sign of trouble is nearly always the same thing, which is that she goes quiet on you. She stops her chatter. She stands off by herself. She is not eating with the others when the feed goes down, and she might close her eyes for a wee moment, when you think she should be looking at you. That is your first day warning right there, and if you see it, then you have time on your side. The second sign comes when the feathers go puffy, because she is trying to keep herself warm, and her wee body cannot hold its heat proper anymore. And the third sign is her head tucking in, and her tail dropping down like a wet rag. By the time you see all 3 of those together, she is properly poorly, and you need to act today rather than tomorrow. Now, if you see any wet discharge from her eyes or her nose, any bubbling around the beak, any runny mess down her back end, that is a different kettle of fish, and I will come to it later. But 9 hens out of 10 that go down on you, it is that quiet stillness you will see first. And if you make yourself watch for it every morning, with your feed bucket, 30 extra seconds is all it takes, and it will save you a hen a year, at the very least of it. You also need to know why she has gone quiet in the first place, because the fix only makes sense once you understand the cause. And a hen goes down in the mouth for one of 3 reasons, and they are almost never dramatic ones. The first is that she is cold, colder than her wee body can climb back from on her own, and I would say this is the biggest killer of hens in this country by a long way. But folk do not realise it, because it does not look dramatic to them. It just looks like she is standing still. The second reason is that her gut has gone off, whether from something she ate, or a bit of stress, or a change in the weather, or a new bird arriving in the flock, and now she is not absorbing what she takes in. And the third is that she is dehydrated, which happens faster than most folk realise, especially if the water has frozen up in winter or fouled itself in summer. That is really the whole of it. 90 times out of 100, that is your hen. And everything I am about to show you addresses those three things in the right order. So the first method is warmth, and this is the one that nearly everyone gets wrong, and I do mean that. Because before you dose her with anything at all, and before you bathe her, and before you feed her a single thing, you have to get her warm. Because a cold hen cannot digest, and cannot absorb, and cannot fight. Her wee body is diverting every scrap of energy it has, just to hold its core temperature. So what you do is, you bring her inside, or you bring her into the barn, into a cardboard box lined with clean straw, or an old towel, with a heat lamp above one end of the box only, mind, so that she can walk away from it if she gets too warm, or a hot water bottle wrapped in a cloth pressed against her side, if you do not have a lamp. 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That is what a wee chick needs from a mother the day she hatches, and a poorly grown hen needs something close to that as well. 20 minutes of proper warmth will do half your battle for you. Because I have watched hens I thought were gone come right back to themselves in that box before I had finished my tea. That is why the rule is warmth first, always, no matter what else is going on with her. The one wee catch that gets folk into trouble is this. If the heat lamp is too close to her, she cannot escape it, and she will heat up too much and shut down a different way. So you want one end of the box warm and the other end cool. And she will choose for herself where she wants to be, because she knows. The second method is to isolate her from the flock. And this is not cruel at all, despite how it sounds. It is actually a kindness to her, and to the rest of the birds both. Because in the box she is away from the pecking. The bullying stops. She can rest, proper. And whatever she has, whether it is a wee virus or something worse, cannot spread through the coop before you know what you are dealing with. My grandfather kept what he called a hen hospital in the corner of the byre, which was just a wooden crate with some clean straw and a wee bowl of water and a dish for a scrap of food and a bit of clean cloth for her to stand on so her feet stayed warm. Nothing fancy at all, but that was where any poorly hen went until she was right again or until she was not going to be. If you keep chickens, then you need one of those, and you will use it more than you think. And there is one more thing my grandfather taught me about the hen hospital, which is that you put the box somewhere she can hear the other hens, rather than see them. Because a flock bird alone in silence loses her will faster than you would credit. But the wee sound of her sisters chattering down the yard tells her that she is still part of the flock, and that alone will keep her wanting to come back to them. You would be surprised what a hen understands. Now that the wee hen is warm and quiet and safe in her hospital box, we can move on to what comes next, which is the third method, and that is the egg yolk trick. And I know exactly how this sounds when I say it, because it sounds daft as a brush. But hear me out, because there is real sense in it. When a chick hatches from the shell, the very last thing she absorbs into her wee body is the yolk of her own egg, and that yolk carries every single nutrient she needs to survive her first days on this earth, because nature made that yolk for a chicken to live on. And so, when a grown hen is too weak to eat, what you give her is the same thing. You crack one fresh egg into a wee bowl, and you take just the yolk. And you mix in about a teaspoon of warm water, with a wee pinch of ordinary salt and a wee pinch of sugar. And that is your electrolyte, which is the same as what you find in the fancy powder they sell at the feed shop for 4 times the price. Then you take a clean eyedropper, or the corner of a teaspoon, and you put one drop, just one, on the edge of her beak. And you do not force it down her throat, because she will breathe it in and drown. So it is one wee drop on the edge of the beak. And then you watch, because she will pull it in herself and swallow, and then another, and then another. And after 10 minutes of that, patient as you like, a hen that could not lift her head will start looking round, like she has just remembered where she is. That is the closest thing to magic in this whole video, and it costs you 1 egg. Once she is taking those drops steady, you can start putting the dropper closer to her, and then eventually right in front of her. and the moment she takes it herself is the moment you know she has turned. Some hens I have had take 20 drops the first time, and some take 3 and want a rest. So let her lead you, because she will tell you what she can manage if you just have the patience to listen. Now that she has a wee bit of strength back in her, we move on to method 4, which is going to sound even stranger than the last one. And that is that we are going to bathe her. And I mean that literally, in an Epsom salt bath. What you do is fill a plastic tub with lukewarm water, and it should be the temperature of a bairn's bath. So if you put your elbow in, it should feel just a touch warm and nothing more. And then you stir in about 1.5 cups of ordinary Epsom salt from the chemist, which costs a couple of pounds and lasts you a year of Sundays. You lower her in gentle, holding her under the wings, with just her head above the water, and you hold her there for 5 to 10 minutes, and you keep talking soft to her the whole time, saying, "Wheesht, hen, wheesht, we're just having a wee soak," because your voice keeps her calm. What that salt is doing is drawing the badness out through her skin and easing any wee bit of inflammation in her belly and her vent. And it is giving her a proper energy lift through the magnesium going in through her skin as well. And it also cleans anything stuck to her feathers that she could not get to herself, which matters if she has had the runs, poor wee thing. 5 to 10 minutes is all, no more, and then you lift her out and wrap her in an old towel and pat her gently dry, and you put her straight back in her warm box, and you do not rub her hard, you just dab at her, and you let the heat lamp do the rest of the drying for you, because a wet hen chills faster than a dry one, and we have just spent all this time getting her warm, so we do not want to undo it now. I will tell you no lie, hen, a bird that comes out of that bath and shakes herself and starts pecking at the towel is a bird that has turned the corner, and that, right there, is the 5-minute save. If she comes out of the bath and just lies down flat with her eyes closed, then she is still poorly and we have more work to do. But the bath itself has done her no harm at all, and it may well have bought us the time we need for the next thing to work its way through her. The next thing is method 5, which is the tonic for her water, and this is what carries her the rest of the way home. In her water bowl in the recovery box, you add 3 ingredients, and the first of them is a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar per litre, which is an old trick used up and down these islands for well over 100 years, and it is a good one, because it settles her gut and it keeps the water clean, and it helps her absorb what she takes in. The second is 2 crushed cloves of raw garlic, which chicken keepers up and down these islands have used since long before there was ever a feed shop to buy anything from, because garlic is a natural tonic, and it keeps the bugs at bay both in her gut and in her blood. And the third, if you happen to have it, is 3 drops of oregano oil, which is about the closest thing to a natural antibiotic you will ever find in your kitchen cupboard. That mixture goes into her water for 3 to 5 days, refreshed every morning with fresh water and fresh garlic, mind. And the hen, who was standing quiet in the corner the day before, will be back out in the yard, bossing the others about by the end of the week. I have seen that happen more times than I could ever count, and it never once stops feeling like a small miracle to me. There is one more wee thing my grandmother did that I still do to this day, which is to put a spoonful of natural yoghurt on a saucer for her once a day for the first 2 days, because that puts the good bugs back in her gut where the bad ones have been. And you will be surprised what a hen will lick out of a dish when she is turning the corner. Bonny thing to watch, that is. Now let me spend a few minutes on the 6th method, which is really the 3 specific things that go wrong with hens that need a slightly different touch than the general poorliness we have been talking about so far, because you will meet all 3 of them eventually if you keep chickens long enough. The first is crop trouble, and the crop is that wee pouch at the base of her neck, where the feed sits before it goes into the rest of her, and sometimes it goes wrong on you. If you feel her crop first thing in the morning, before she has had her feed, and it is still full and hard from the night before, then that is an impacted crop. If it feels like a water balloon that swings when you touch it, then that is sour crop instead, and her breath will smell right foul when you get close to her. For an impacted crop, what you do is give her a wee bit of olive oil, just a few drops on the beak, the same way we did the egg yolk, and then you gently massage the crop with your fingers in a downward direction for about a minute at a time, 3 or 4 times through the day, and most impactions will clear in a day or two of that, so do not panic. For sour crop, you hold her upside down with one hand under her breast and you let the sour liquid drain out of her beak for about 10 seconds only, and no longer than that. And then you set her upright, and you do that once or maybe twice. And then you put her on the garlic and cider water we talked about earlier. Do not hold her upside down longer than 10 seconds, mind, because she will aspirate on it, and you will do more harm than good. The second specific problem is egg bound, which is a hen who has an egg stuck fast inside her, and she will stand hunched and straining with her tail going up and down, and she will be miserable as a wet Wednesday. This one is genuinely urgent because it can kill her in a day. So what you do is run the Epsom salt bath from method 4, exactly as I described. But you hold her in that warm water for a good 15 to 20 minutes this time, rather than 5. And then you dry her and wrap her and put her somewhere warm and dim and quiet. 9 times out of 10, the warmth and the magnesium relax her enough that the egg passes on its own within a few hours. And if it does not pass by the next morning, then that is when you may want to phone a vet, if you can find one. Because pushing further at home with the wrong technique can rupture things you do not want ruptured. The third and last one is respiratory trouble, which shows up as a runny nose or wet eyes or sneezing or wheezing or gurgling from the chest. And this is the one where you isolate her the fastest. Because respiratory bugs move through a flock like fire through dry heather, the oregano oil in the water tonic does more work here than anywhere else in this whole video. And you add a wee dish of chopped garlic to her food as well. And you keep her ventilation good, but out of any draught. Because stale damp air makes it worse, and cold fresh wind makes it worse. So you want somewhere in between the two. If her breathing still sounds bad after 3 days on the tonic, then that is another one where a vet phone call is worth the money, if you can afford it. And if you cannot afford it, then you'll keep her comfortable and let nature take its course, and you do not blame yourself. Now here is the honest bit I promised you at the very start, which is that not every hen can be saved, because some of them are too far gone by the time you find them in the morning. And some have something inside them that no bath and no tonic will ever fix. And if you keep chickens long enough, you will lose one, and it will hurt. When it happens, I want you to hear me say this plain, hen, it is not your fault. Because you did what you could. You tried the old ways, honest. And sometimes the old ways cannot fix what is already broken. My grandfather told me once, when I was a wee boy, crying over a hen I could not save, and he said, Angus, we give them a good life, and we give them a fair chance, and that is all any keeper can ever do, laddie. And he was right about that. Grief for a good hen is a proper thing to feel, so you feel it, and then you get back to the ones still needing you. There is a harder part, I will say plain as well, because you deserve to hear it plain. Which is that if a hen is clearly suffering and clearly not coming back, the kindest thing you can do is end it quickly and cleanly, rather than let her linger in pain. Because that is part of being a keeper too. It does not feel good, and it is not meant to feel good. But leaving a bird to die slowly over 3 days, when you already know she cannot recover, is not a kindness at all. So learn how to do it proper before the day comes, because that knowledge is part of your duty to them. My grandfather taught me that when I was 10, and it was the hardest lesson I ever learned, and it is the one I am gladdest to have. Let me spend a wee minute on prevention as well, because everything I have told you so far is about fixing a problem that you would really rather not have in the first place. The healthiest flocks I have ever seen in my life all shared 4 things. And the first is clean water, changed every day, in a container the hens cannot mess in with their feet, and a splash of cider vinegar in their main water twice a week, all year round, will do more for a flock than any medicine cabinet you can buy. The second is a proper dust bath in the corner of the run, which is just a shallow tub of dry earth mixed with wood ash and a wee handful of dried herbs if you have them to hand. And that is how they clean themselves and keep the mites off, and it costs you nothing at all. The third is dry bedding always. Change before it ever smells damp, because damp bedding is where respiratory trouble breeds, so mind that. And the fourth is that you watch them every single day with the feed bucket. 30 seconds of watching them go about their business, because you will spot trouble 3 days earlier than you would otherwise. And 3 days is often the whole difference between a hen you save and a hen you have to bury. That is really the whole of it. Clean water, a dust bath, dry bedding and eyes on them. And if you do those 4 things faithful, you will rarely need any of the methods I have taught you today. Let us talk about the money for a wee minute as well, because it matters. A visit to a vet for a chicken, if you can even find one that will take her, will cost you anywhere from £50 to £200 or dollars. And the honest truth of it is that most vets do not know a great deal about chickens, because there is no money in them for the practice. Meanwhile, the heat lamp you either already have or you can buy for the price of a good meal, and the cardboard box costs you nothing, and 1 egg is 1 egg, and a cup of Epsom salt is a couple of pounds, and a splash of cider vinegar and 2 cloves of garlic are pennies, and a wee bottle of oregano oil will last you a full year. All in, you are at maybe £5 hen for a method that works 9 times out of 10. And that is the arithmetic of the old ways, cheap and honest and mostly right. Here is the part folk do not talk about enough though, which is that the vet, even the good one, cannot get to your hen in time when it really matters. And the old ways work because they are already sitting in your kitchen when you need them. And the best medicine is really the medicine you actually have on the shelf. So here is what I want you to do this week. Go out to your coop, right now if you can manage it, and put together a wee hospital box, before you ever need to use one. And you want a cardboard box, and a towel, and a clean bowl, and a wee bag of Epsom salt in the cupboard, and a bottle of cider vinegar, and a head of garlic in a jar, and a small bottle of oregano oil from the health shop, and a heat lamp or a hot water bottle. Total cost is about £15 or dollars, one time only, and it will last you for years and years. You will not need it today, God willing, but the day you do need it, you will not have any time to be running to the shop, and you will be very glad you did the boring bit ahead of time. And do the wee 30-second watch every morning with your feed bucket as well. Learn what your hens look like when they are well, so that you know it the very moment one of them is not. Tell me down in the comments below where you are keeping your hens, what part of the country or what part of the world, because I have had messages from folk keeping wee flocks in their back gardens from Alaska all the way to Australia, and I would love to know where you are and how many you have got and what breeds you are keeping. I read every one of them, hen, honest I do. Some of the stories under my last video had me sitting with my tea for a good hour. Next time I am going to show you something almost nobody talks about, which is how to tell the moment your hen has stopped laying because she is poorly, rather than just because it is the season or the molt. Because it is the first sign you will ever spot on a hen going down, and it is the one that saves you the most trouble down the line. And after that we are going to talk about winter, and how to get your whole flock through the cold months without losing a single bird, which is the question I get more than any other one at this time of year. Until then, hen, keep the flock warm, keep the water clean, keep an eye on them with the morning feed, and be kind to the wee birds, because they give you more than folk realise. Right then, off you go.